next 15 minutes, so don't cuss if you don't want it to be out on the interwebs forever. Okay, so far, because I'm also talking to you in the future, so far we've gone through the types of questions, we've hit on file edit, we viewed the live form, and just like everything Google, you can change themes. So you can come down, and this is where we start tricking things up and making it look so exciting and so awesome. Especially if you're going to do something like, how about this? What are some original ways or really useful ways or really efficient ways that you've seen Google Forms used either on your campuses or in your class? What are some ideas that you already have right now?
Well, when we deployed our iPads, I created a form for when they wanted new apps and stuff, so they had to go in and fill out what the name of the app was, how they were going to implement it.
Oh, that's great.
Loans, taxonomy level of that app would be, that kind of stuff. So all the stuff came back to me in a spreadsheet where I could look and mark off when those apps had been updated.
Awesome. And you made them argue for the app. It's not simply, I want this. That's awesome. What were you going to say?
We used it for determining professional development on our campus, like
Cool.
kind of a survey.
Yeah.
And then also for signing up once they develop
Excellent.
ideas for the summer workshops.
Nice. When we were, Jill Pomfret and I were doing some Erasmus stuff at Northwest High School, we're still both in the classroom. That's one of the things that we do is we connected an Erasmus, just another app, take a look at it. We connected Erasmus to a Google form and then just sent that out to the entire staff and said, when do you want to meet us? And we'll show up whenever you want. So kind of pulling in information to a spreadsheet, very useful. What other ways, other than sort of keeping track of people signing up, what else have you seen?
Most everybody at our campus just uses it for their tests right now. Just
Okay.
That's what they're using it for.
Do they use Flubaroo or is it just?
Well, they are now that they know about Flipgrid. Before they weren't.
Gotcha.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so for assessments and for pulling in data. Okay, so going back to this, view, we've got change the theme, full screen compact mode if this stuff is getting in the way. And the themes are, there's like a billion themes. Click on choose form. And you can go through all of these various ones that I've already created. Are all over the place. If there's a theme that I personalized, now let's say I brought up like this Gorilla Ed thing, and I made that a background, which you can, and I can't seem to find my image or whatever, I can just jump into something I've already created and borrow that template. Oh, those look like disco balls, so we're going to stick with that. Everybody loves to disco. Yes, that's
You got that spreadsheet, you just got everybody and you just clicked and it took you there.
Yes, and that's something we did in Northwest when we do a Techno Expo where the kids show off their knowledge of technology. So when the kids were submitting their forms, we always asked them to, instead of uploading a movie, send us a link, and we would use Google Forms. This is the assignment I was talking about, where I had my college students research a state, and if you've only got 500,000 or $1 million, I forget how much the money was, how in the world can you flip Florida from being a Democratic state to a Republican state? Well, you can't spend money in every single county. You're going to waste your money. So you've got to find those places where you've got some voters that you can change their mind by spending a little bit of advertising. So, for example, in southern Florida, the only large group of Hispanics that vote Republican nationwide are Cubans. And so where do you find the Cubans? They're going to be down here in southern Florida. Why do they vote Republican? They're running away from Cuba and communist regime and all that stuff. So my kids would do research on Florida, and if they're flipping it from Democrat to Republican, they've got to know this information. So This is a Google form that I created. It's, you know, Destiny, here's some information. Here's a map of each of the counties in the country. And it basically summarized, so instead of going over chapter 11, chapter 12, chapter 13, all of them had to do with demographics and voting trends and that kind of stuff. So I gave them, this is where you would insert a paragraph in Google Forms. I inserted paragraphs, gave links, so this wasn't just a static page that could then jump out to other resources. Here's what I'm looking for. And then there's something, and you're going to want to write this down because this will blow your mind. Autocrat, if you haven't played around with that. Autocrat will allow you to shoot out emails after the kids have evaluated each other and they hit send. This entire form gets sent to the kid. So as they're preparing for their presentation, they can just go to their email, and then there's the whole thing with the feedback from the other students saying, you were really clear over here, but I really didn't understand what you were getting at, you know, in this part of your presentation. And so this drop-down menu, and of course I erased it because of FERPA and all that. In this drop-down menu, I had my kids on the Google form enter their email address. So all these email addresses would pop up, and as the kids are evaluating each other, they would just pick the student that they were evaluating, so that when they were done and they hit send, immediate feedback. How could you use this with parents? Or what are some other ways that you could use Google Forms, emails, and when you hit send, the form goes out to somebody?
You could just keep track of, like, if they're missing assignments, or, you know, if you have issues with the child.
So, we're turning in our work. Oh, you don't have your work. Okay. Click, email of mom or dad pops up, hit it. Okay, so why don't you have your work? Type it out real quick, hit send, disciplinary action taken. Noted, parent knows, you know, they know, done. Like that quickly. And that's what I used out in the hall. And I wasn't a crazy disciplinarian, but when things got a little cray-cray in the class, I would take the kid out in the hallway, and if they saw me grab my iPad, that's what put fear into them. Because it's like, boom, boom, okay, there's your parents' email address. So, hey man, what's going on in class? You seem like you're a little off today. Like when you said the F word 15 times in a row. That was kind of weird. And so, this is a great way to just if they know that you can get a hold of their parents immediately, you don't think like the second I start reaching for that iPad, the kids are like, oh, sorry. So this isn't simply just, you know, taking quizzes or you know, assessments or keeping track of data. It can be used as a weapon, a really good weapon. Okay, so going down, this is all based on the rubric that I handed to my kids. How many maps are you showing? The kids would evaluate each other again. Do the maps correlate with each other? When you show me these two maps and you say, this is how we're going to get more Republicans to vote, does it make sense? It does. It's one thing for it to look legit and pretty colors. It's another thing, is it making sense to me? And then I always add this. Any evaluation, any feedback, anything. It's not just yes or no up here. It's explain why yes or no. Explain why you chose what you did. That's where the power of the feedback came in with this particular approach. And so the kids would say, no, the maps don't make sense. And if you leave it at that, it's way too vague for it to be effective. Okay, why didn't it make sense? And so the kids would jump in and type, I didn't like the way she smelled or whatever. Same thing all the way down, and just notice that after each one, I ask for any kind of clarifying notes. If the intention of this feedback is for the kids to get better on their presentation, you got to give them some detailed feedback. I threw in a video, and again, in Google Forms, you can embed any kind of video, any kind of image. So I threw in the video. I don't know if y'all are familiar with this. It's one of my faves.
Esurance was born online. They have smart online.
That's not what I want. We'll wait you out. And so again, your teachers, or if you're doing this, you can embed an explanatory video or something into this Google form, or you can have this video and then have the kids answer a question based on the video, on momentum in science or something like that.
And Texas and New York, and we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan, and then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!
And so at that, yeah! One of the things that we talked about in class was to run for president, it's not always the best person running for president. It's the person that screws up the least. I mean, honestly. You have to be so squeaky clean to run for president that there are probably some potential great presidents out there, but, and I'm not downplaying, but let's say somebody embezzled money when they were in their 20s at their company. Well, can't run for president anymore. You've got to be crazy squeaky clean. And so that was just a reminder within this form of, hey, here's some details that we're looking for. Then same thing, add clarification, citations, and then at the very bottom, for the feedback on this particular assignment, what else stood out? Did I forget something? I know that the rubric says this, but was something just really, really awesome that they did here? Or was it like really, really crappy, but I didn't address it in the rubric? And so that's where the kids, one of the girls did like a fake late night comedy show, Johnny Carson-ish kind of thing. And so the feedback that they got was, we loved the way that you embedded humor into this, but still kept it serious. Like you stuck to the rubric, but it was funny. Once you hit submit, that gets emailed to everybody whose email address was chosen up there. It gets sent to my spreadsheet. And then of course it gets sent to, no, that's it. So the spreadsheet and then the email address. And it's pretty involved. This took an entire class period, but again, Google Forms is so versatile that you can embed pretty much anything that you're looking for, and it's just this nice vehicle. It's this nice container for whatever it is that you're looking for. So it's not just quizzes again. Okay, so tools, this is where you would embed any kind of script editor. If you know anything about script, I don't. This is where you would embed any kind of extensions. In Google Docs, that's where you're going to do Autocrat and that kind of stuff. Honestly, I don't use any tool. Does anybody use any tools along with Forms? Forms just seems to be so versatile that I don't need to go out and look for too many other things. I will tell you one. So sorry, I lied. I got this from Casey Bell last week. This is for you math teachers. It's called GMath, and it's spelled looks like this. It's going to be in the Google Store. It's free. What that allows you to do is superscripts, subscripts, all those funky little equation type things that you can't do normally. GMath will do it for you, and then you can basically cut and paste and import it into a form. So your math teachers that are always frustrated that they never get any attention from any of these companies, there's a little bit there that you can give the equation and the kids can work it out. Okay, so as far as the bars up there are concerned, pretty standard. Same thing as what you're going to get with docs. So here's what I want you to do. Since we already know how to share, I think, let's go ahead and create a form that you're going to use to evaluate me at the end of the session. And let's make it 3 or 4 questions-ish kind of thing. Are we good with that? Is that too long? I'm getting paranoid. Somebody needs to say, we like you, Cooper. Okay, so in your Google Forms, if you'll just jump in, and this is going to be a very basic, if you want to play around with backgrounds and that kind of stuff, that's fine. But this is going to be an evaluation tool that you're going to create and use on me, and I so want to see it. because you're all just staring at me again. Maybe I don't want you to go anywhere.